Welcome to the HiGPS balance mod developer update for November. So it is November, and here is the balance update. It's just reversed of the first thing I said. So there hasn't been as many changes as there has been on the first one, because the first one was a lot. But now there's been some changes to something, and there's also been added something to other stuff. So we will take a look at that right now. And I have my notes here. So one thing that we added was the Sandman. Now, the Sandman now have increased the ball damage from 15 to 30, and we've added that you do 30% less damage with the bat. It still slows, and we've also removed that you have less health on the wearer, because the Sandman was awful and there was no reason to use it. So now we made it like a different type of Rap Assassin. While it doesn't do as much damage as the Rap Assassin, it still does the slow and you don't lose any health. And basically, if you can hit the ball and then land melee shots, you will almost have the same initial DPS as the bat, as long as you use 4 hits or less to kill your target. Next up is this shovel for the soldier. Now this one was just deploy faster, but this one needed an edge. So right now I'm experimenting with it dealing mini crits from behind, because I want the stock weapons to be unique for each class and not necessarily be the same. So while it just deployed faster, it was too similar to the fire axe, so I wanted it to have something more, because right now there really isn't any reason to use the shovel because there's so many other unlocks. Jump cut. So in this update, the shovel has been removed of its faster deployment speed, and rather it does mini crits from behind. So also the equalizer, in light of this, has been given a slight damage buff. It now does 15% more damage, so that means at full HP you will do 37 damage instead of 33, and at 1 HP you will do 123 as opposed to 107, just to give the equalizer a bigger range when you're low on health, to kind of mitigate the fact that you will always do 88 damage with the mini crits from the shovel. Which was basically like if you miss the market garden and you land on the ground and you want to hit people in the back, the shovel is now sort of good at that. But it's just been added. We haven't actually tested it in combat yet, so we'll see how that flows. Now there's been some more changes to Pyro, because Pyro is a class that's working towards being fine now. So the fire axe, as you can see, has been changed, so it no longer deploys and holsters faster, but it will remove Spy's disguise when hit. And how the Spy's experiences this is you're going to be blinded with a flash as it happens. Just to give the fire axe something, like the 3rd degree. Next up, the Dragon's Fury. Now, if you remember from the Dragon's Fury video, I said that the Dragon's Fury, if you just play Pyro and you just use the shotgun and only use another flamethrower just for reflect, you will actually do more damage running around with your secondary using that as a primary than you do with the Dragon's Fury. However, the difference wasn't too big, so basically what I did is I increased the overall damage that the Dragon's Fury does by 10%. So hopefully this will put it slightly above the shotgun. It's still a lot of your skills as a pyro and your ability to land the shots in consecutive order and not miss that will bring out the damage, and we're rewarding that with some more damage. Next up is the another jump cut. Hey. Oh, the Phlegistinator now does mini crits instead of crits, because I felt that the Phlegistinator was a tad too strong, especially against the lower end of the spectrum. In the high end, you don't have air blast, so it sucks. But for the lower end, it's very easy to do really well with this weapon, even when, you know, everything is good against bad players, but this one wasn't good. It was insanely good against bad players. So that's why we decided to tone down the damage a bit, but I also wanted to give it an edge of its own to make up for the fact that you can't really zone well with the air blast missing, so we've increased the travel speed from 245 to 290 for the flame particles, which means your range is effectively longer, and you'll see just how long it is. Next up is a weapon that has been pretty much untouched for a very long time, and we aren't really seeing anyone using it, and that is the Scottish Resistance. Now, what I originally wanted to do is to make it more accurate and not detonate right below your feet. But instead, I can't really do that, so what I decided to increase the clip from 8 to 12. So now you should have a pretty huge clip as a demo man, and it plays a lot better. Reload is still the same, so it's too early to say. I mean, earlier in the test we did 14, and that was kind of ridiculous. But 12, we'll see how that goes, because it does have the slower arming time and that stuff. I haven't added the negatives, but I will do later when you look at this document. Now to the most interesting part of this update, and that is the syringe guns for the medic. So basically, the crossbow is in an extremely good position. It should basically have been the medic's primary all along, because it just flows so well with the class. It works good with the burst mechanics that are so good in Team Fortress 2. However, while it's in its own class, while it's overpowered compared to the syringe guns, nerfing this weapon is not a good idea. It's similar to the bone saw. It's in a the Uber saw. It's in a very good state. So instead of bringing the crossbow down, we'll try to bring the others up so it can compete on different levels. Now, how successful this is, because having ranged heal and burst heal is fucking good, I've tried to do the following. We tried to add the Uber charge on hit with the syringe gun, meaning that if you're able to land a full clip, you will be able to get 40% Uber. Granted that if people are moving and you're not hitting every needle, then this has to change. However, I do feel that in certain situations, depending on the angle and who you're shooting, you will be able to leech off some additional Uber, especially while retreating. So I wanted to give medics a little something for just shooting at guys. This is basically a retreat gun and self-defense gun. It's not meant to do that. And also, you can use this in Uber chains, sort of. Like, we have to test that, but it probably can work, maybe, hopefully. The Blutsauger has had all downsides negated, and now you just gain more health. You gain the same amount of health, but also the lower your health gets, the faster you fire, up to 30% faster. So it will help you in those clutch environments where you're very low in health and you just want to heal yourself super quickly. And this is now on the same page as the Vitasaw currently is, with like self-sustain. However, this thing is ranged, and the 30% really gives you a burst, but I haven't had a single situations where it had made too much of a difference. However, the overdose, also reserved to being the zoomies, is now giving you 10% faster movement speed while you're just holding it. And this also stacks with the old buff as well. So if you have, it's like 10% plus whatever the percentage is of the other thing you have. So if you have 100% Uber and you run with the overdose, you're going to run pretty darn fast. So since Spy has been a class that has gotten a significant amount of nerfs, especially from me, because I am not very kind to the class, I've given him some buffs in the department of spy stuff. It seems that both Valve and me up until now has kind of been neglecting the fact that Spy needs to be good at spy stuff. So what we've done is that the Deadringer, now I think that was in the previous edition as well. However, it has a faster cloak regen, double of what it was, and then it also has 10% faster decloak speed. And after I've gone through all of these, we'll have a little demonstration. And the same with all the watches. Invisibwatch and Cloak and Dagger have gotten 15% faster decloak speed. So that means going out of cloak, turning visible is now faster, both for the Deadringer and the watches. So how I've done this, the reason it's 10% on the Deadringer is because the sound plays, and it's always like the sound plays. I can't edit the sound. So basically, as soon as the sound ends, you can stab or shoot. Same with the Cloak and Dagger and the Inviswatch. As soon as the sound is over, you can get messages on Facebook because you forgot to put your phone on mute while doing a recording. It means you can do stabs 15% faster, which helps you doing spy stuff, which is the direction Spy should go. Spy should be good at doing spy stuff, like stuff like that. So instead of having the players you are now decloaking behind, instead of having they can hear the sound, then like a little bit of silence before you can do something. Now, like as soon as the sound is over, you can do something. And lastly, the red tape recorder. So this item has been very buggy with the test, especially with the deconstruction, so I decided just to remove it entirely. Now it does 15% more damage, and it doesn't do this anymore, so but it is removed in one hit. Now, from my little testing that I've done, 15% is roughly 1 second longer it takes. So if you sap a level 3 sentry, it will now take a little over 7 seconds instead of a little over 8 seconds to destroy. However, it's still destroyed by the Jag in one hit, so right now this weapon will punish engineers who do roaming a lot more, or a little bit more, and actually you will punish the spy more if you play against camping engineers. So now you have maybe a viable red tape recorder. However, if this actually works in combat or not is yet to be seen, because it's fresh off the boat and hasn't been tested yet. So that was the November balance update. Thank you for watching. Be sure to join the Steam group in the description below, as well as the Discord for announcements and when we do play stuff. With this, the server is always online, kind of always, almost 24/7. And you can go in, you can test these changes against bots if no one else is there. So thank you and good night.